All right, let's add one more section to explore what ChatFuel offers us. So we're going to go into our main gallery, right? And I'm going to put one more, and I'm going to upload the image growth.jpg. Should have a .jpg. And I'm going to say understand exponential growth. And so we're going to need a section, right? So let's go over here. Let's just add a new group always, just to make sure. And I'll call this new group let's call it growth for ease of use. And we'll add a button. And if the user clicks, and let's call this button, I don't know, we'll just call it explore again. Or I can call it understand. How about help me understand? And our block that we're going to go to is, of course, our new, we didn't put in a block, did we? Okay, so we have to put in a block, and I'm just going to call this growth intro. There we go. Now I'll go back to main gallery and make sure we have this block is going to growth intro. There we go. Now we're set up right. And so one of the only real logics that I can find ChatFuel has that you don't have to do off in your own API is math. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to understand exponential growth of the thing. So once again, I'll put in some kind of intro. I'll be like, hi, first name. This is designed to help you understand exponential growth. Right? Okay. And so what I want is for someone to, I'm going to use this quick reply because we haven't used it, just to show you what it does. So if a user clicks blah, 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 they reply that. So that's quick reply. You know what? I don't want to actually use these. These ones are like, if a user, so we would have some buttons. Oh no, we have the button here, and we could send them to different blocks. We could save to things. We actually don't need that. I just want to show you that exists. I can really find a good place to use that in these chatbots. But what we want to do is ask them for a user attribute again to do this. Understand exponential. So first, we will need a number to start with. Okay, so this is our another thing here. Now I'm going to say we're going to need to save user input again, and we already saw that. So we say select a whole number. We'll just say select a whole number, or tell me a whole number, right? We want someone to, now this has validation. We can actually make sure that they select a number, and you see there's this default. It says for us, this would be what you've entered doesn't look like a number, please enter a number. So at least it'll validate that. That's some logic that it has there. And so we're going to call this COVID number, okay? And so this is our, or actually let's call this start number, okay? Because we're going to start here and we're going to figure things out. And we're going to say in this, we'll say, okay, so suppose this starts with, right, start number, deaths. We're going to be very, very terrible here. So okay, so suppose this growth starts with the number they pick of deaths, right? So maybe I should cue them in. Number to start with. Perhaps start low with a number between, I don't know, 10 and 20. This will work for any number, but we'll cue them that they should probably start in that range. Okay, so they're going to start with our number. Let me just close this so it's not in my way. Okay, so suppose we have a growth number that starts with things. And, okay, based on current data, COVID-19 deaths grow 15% each day. And here's a place where we can maybe use these quick replies. So I'll say, based on 15% each day, that doesn't sound like much, does it? And now I'll accuse them to kind of interact with me. So a quick reply, and I'll say, yes, it does. Another quick reply, no, it doesn't. And I'll add a last one, maybe. Okay, so right now they have these three choices. Now, obviously, someone can always type something else there, this quick reply. So just to show you what these look like, let's go back over to my Messenger, and I have it set up here. Tell me a whole number, so I'll pick 10. I'll enter. Okay, so suppose this growth starts with 10 deaths, right? So now they'll say one of these things, right? Now, right now I don't have anything else, but the conversation's paused until they make one of these choices. So that's slightly different than the other commands. And you saw in the Messenger that I could, if I wanted to, send them to a new block based on these, but we just want to keep them in the same block here to keep things simple. So we don't have to do anything there. You can also see that we could take this value and save it to a user attribute. So if we wanted to use some logic before to be at the end and be like, well, so you were sure wrong or something like that, right? But we're not going to bother with that right now. That would be, it's something we could do though. So let's try to do some of this math. And so we set it to 15, they typed a number, and this is going to grow 15% each day. So the first thing I need to do is do some math real quick. So I'm going to go over into set user attribute instead of save. We've already saved the user attribute. What I need to do is make some new attributes myself. So I'm going to call this attribute 1 day. And the value for this, what's the problem here? There's an error, is maybe I just don't have value, is I type in, so what do we call it? Start number. And now we can do math between these attributes. And we do that by just typing like things like plus, minus, divide. But what we need here is multiply. And so we're going to multiply that by 1.15. Right? And that will give us 1 day because it's 15%. So to the math to that is to multiply the number by 1.15. I'm going to make another attribute. I'm going to say 1 week. And this time I'm going to take the start number and I'm going to multiply it by, so the way exponential growth works, right? You'd have an exponent of the number of intervals. So the number of intervals in our case is 7. And so we want to take this results and we can just do it on this right here and do that math. So I have the math here already done for you, and I'll have it. So our first week, right, is an increase of this. That's right. So this would be 1.15 to the 7th power. We need to add another one, so let's call this 2 weeks. Again, start number. We're going to multiply that by this number because I pre-did the math to make life easier. One more, 3 weeks. We'll do start number, and we'll multiply that by this. And one last one, right, equals 4 weeks. And we'll do start number, and we'll multiply that by this, right? So this is the math of right, 7 days, the interval 14, 21, 28. Okay, so we've got our user attributes set up now, right? So now we're going to say, okay, so in 1 day, the number of deaths will go to, so in 1 day, if the growth rate is 15%, the number of deaths will go to, and then we'll put in 1 day, right? And put a period. And then I think I'll put some typing here, right? Let them read that before we jump in here. So I'll say 4 seconds, sounds good. And we'll do the next one. If it continues to grow at 15% in, whoops, caps lock, in 1 week, there would be, and right, we're going to use our 1 week deaths. Another typing, right, because we wanted to give it some pause. Then in 2 weeks, we jump to, right, 2 weeks deaths. Maybe we'll just skip the 3rd week, right? Let's just say, we'll do it. So text, in 3 weeks, we will have, right, 3 weeks deaths. Typing once again, and then the last payoff would be, now, the largest number I'll share with you happens in 4 weeks of 15% growth. They're based on your start number, based on your start number of blank, we will have, right, 4 weeks deaths in about a month. So this, right, so let's make that a new text. This shows you how quickly it grows. Now, what I would probably have done here, maybe if I was thinking ahead of time, was actually take this intro, taken all of this stuff, and actually made it its own thing. Because what I would do right here is probably give them a choice. Do you want to start with a different number? Do you want to go see options? You know, something like that. I'm not going to bother with that, right? But let's just check out and make sure our math operations are done wrong, right? So I started with 10 deaths, and I'll say maybe, right? Okay. So the number of deaths will be 11.1.5, right? And so obviously maybe we should tell them like there won't always be whole numbers here. So 2 weeks we jumped to 70.76. In 3 weeks we'll have 188, right? And so now we'll have 500 deaths in a month, right? If we start it with just 10. So, right, this is the most logic I could pretty much find that doesn't have to go off of Chatfuel. But that's it. That's the entirety of the exercise that we'll be doing for a chatbot. And I'm going to give you the option to maybe do one on your own as a project.